Hi friends, I hope this is working now. I am live from my living room. I will go ahead and check the Facebook page now on my computer to see if this is working. Okay, so I'm vertical. That's just the way it has to be because the film does not work. If my phone is horizontal, it does not work. So we will have to be like this. So it's a joy to be here. I am in my living room where it is currently almost 90 degrees because our air conditioner broke. So we are enjoying the sauna of our house, but it's great to be here with the fans. I see there's a few people live. So I'm gonna make sure that I can see all the comments. Yes, I can. Hello, Catherine. I can see all of your comments from my computer here. I am live on my phone. We'll wait for a few more people to sign in. My name is Mary Elizabeth Bowden. I'm originally from the Chicago suburbs, and right now I am residing in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where I live with my trumpet playing husband, David Dash. And I also teach at Shenandoah Conservatory, which is in Winchester, Virginia. Let's see here. So, Catherine, I know you texted me some questions, but if you can go ahead and write them in the comments because I'm streaming live from my phone, so I can't read my text messages at the same time. I'm really looking forward to coming to Santa Fe in January. Santa Fe has been sort of a second home for me in the summer. My husband, Dave, plays in the Santa Fe Opera Orchestra, and so I usually spend a few weeks visiting him there each summer over the past 10 years, and it's one of my most favorite places in the country. It's so beautiful, and I'm actually really excited to visit the area during a time of year where I don't normally get to be in the area. I'm usually there sometime in the summer for a few weeks, so I'm excited to see what it looks like in January and to visit everybody in the community there. So let's see. Our first question is about the Corona Concert Series. So tomorrow evening, live from this page, my husband and I will be performing for this series, Corona Concert Series, and all proceeds will go to the, I have to see the link that we're using there. The link will be on the Corona Concert Series. They have a Facebook page, and through my solo page, Mary Elizabeth Bowden, we will be playing a variety of works, and I believe we're in the process of picking a charity where we're not going to take ticket funds. We're going to request that people give to charity. So we'll be announcing that later tonight. The program includes a lot of solo works, and my husband's an amateur pianist as well, so he'll be playing the piano with me. And we're starting the program with a set of pieces by Peter Eben for 2 trumpets, which are quite virtuosic and colorful. And we're also premiering a new work that we just found. I have to look that up real quick, but I'll get back with you on that. So that's tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and we hope that you can join us on this page. We have a surprise work in the mix that we just learned last night that we'll be announcing also. So we hope that you tune in tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which I believe is 5 p.m. Mountain time. All right. Now I'm going to check out to see if there's any more questions. I shall stay tuned. Yes, Judith from Albuquerque. She's been watching the 100 days of practice that I've been doing, and she's wondering if it's difficult to keep up at this point. Actually, for me, it's been very motivating. I started the challenge on the first day of quarantine. I remember I was on tour with Seraph Brass for a few days, and right before that I had just premiered Vivian's Concerto in Erie with the Erie Philharmonic, and then I went on tour with Seraph, and in the middle of that tour everything was canceled, and instead of flying to New York City for the next concerts, which were canceled, I rented a car and drove 10 hours to Winchester and then back here to North Carolina, and that next day is when I started the practice challenge. And for me, it's just been really motivating. I've been playing a lot of different music every day to stay motivated, and just knowing that I have to post something almost every day has really just kept me motivated because I really love sharing music. There's been some days of rest in there which are really important for a brass player, and but I continue. I think I have 10 days left or so, and I'm trying to decide what I want to do after that. And I just saw trombonist Jim Markey has been doing the 365 days of practice. So I'm tempted to start that just because I don't want to lose my motivation of practicing every day and learning new material and also sharing music with the audience. So I have a few days to decide if I'm going to start the 365 days of practice. We shall see. All right, let's see here, looking for some more questions. Just mentioning Vivian's concerto, it's a really exciting new piece with a ton of energy, and you'll hear me playing the E-flat trumpet, which is great for acrobatic passages, but it also has a bigger sound than the other trumpet that I use at the end of the piece, which is the piccolo trumpet. And I posted the very end of the concerto last night during my 100 days of practice, and you can hear that it ends on some very high notes on the piccolo. And in the middle of the piece, there's a really beautiful flugelhorn section. So you get to hear these 3 different colors of the trumpets. And I've been known in my recitals and with Seraph Brass to use many different trumpets. Sometimes I have 7 different types of trumpets on stage with me. And so just sharing some of those colors is exciting. And then to contrast with that, I will be playing the Haydn Concerto, which is a standard trumpet concerto, but a beautiful piece of music. And tomorrow night on the Corona concert series, I will be playing the very beautiful second movement of the Haydn Concerto, so you can get a little sneak peek on that piece as well. All right, so I'm gonna check back in here on these questions. Let's see, how a board member wants to know how it started with Vivian Fong writing the trumpet concerto. So this is a process, I believe, that started about a year ago. I had the idea for a long time that I really wanted to commission a brand new piece for trumpet and orchestra. And I really wanted to highlight a female composer. And so the first step in that is finding an orchestra that will join your journey. And I found that with Erie Philharmonic, talking with the executive director, Steve Weiser. He is an old friend, and he welcomed the idea and gave me some tips on how to start a consortium. And so I started a consortium to get orchestras to join this project to support Vivian. And what really drew me in to Vivian's music was her violin concerto that she wrote for Kristen Lee. And just hearing that, I knew that she would write something really innovative and different for the trumpet. And so I'm really happy with my choice. She was very collaborative in working with me on the parts, and really wrote a very fantastic virtuosic showcase for the trumpet. And so it was a long journey getting those orchestras on board. I believe we have 9 total. Unfortunately, we've had some cancel and postpone. I was supposed to perform it with Anchorage Symphony in Alaska in April, and so that will be postponed to the season after next season. So once it's safe to perform again, we'll be rescheduling some of those performances. But I'm so happy that Santa Fe Symphony has agreed to join me on this journey of sharing this new work and sharing it with the world. And it's just such a fun piece, and it's very animated. I remember my parents in the audience, they were in the audience with Erie, and they were on the edge of their seat the whole time. So in an exciting way. All right, I'm gonna check back in for some more questions here. We just had a call from Rebecca Abel. What are you most excited about when you come to Santa Fe food-wise? Are you a big red or green chili fan? So I prefer the green chili, and I have a lot of favorite places that I like to go to. I'm trying to think of, my favorite restaurant is La Choza. I usually frequent that when I'm visiting my husband in the opera, so I will definitely be eating there. So I'm very excited. Let's see, are there any states that are having you back in the next few months? You guys start in September. So it's really interesting right now. Obviously everything in the summer has been canceled. and I have not heard any news for concerts in the fall of them being canceled. We're kind of just sitting tight and waiting. I have a few concertos booked, and I'm hoping that there is a way to socially distance and do these performances, and we're kind of just sitting tight. My first scheduled tour on the books is with Seraph Brass in September, and we're just kind of waiting to see what happens. And as far as teaching the conservatory, I think my conservatory and my husband's are planning on doing like a mix of some online teaching and in person. So I don't think we know enough yet to know what's going to happen, but I'm trying to remain positive that the world will figure out a way to share music with audiences. I've seen a lot of things in Europe pop up, but I think we're living in the world of the unknown, and I'm just, as a performer, really hoping for the best. So I'm kind of just waiting to see what happens in the fall. All right. And yeah, so as I wait for some more questions, I'll just tell you about how my life has changed during quarantine. Like all of us, our lives have changed so drastically during this time. This past January and February was my most busy performing time in my life. I think I counted the number of concerts. It was 35 concerts in January and February, plus teaching full-time at the conservatory. So it was really crazy, and it was going to continue that way. And then with the quarantine, everything just stopped. And now I've been, I've been home for 3 months, like everybody, and it's kind of a world record for me for the amount of time that I've actually been home. But I've tried to use that time wisely with sharing my practice videos. I do an interview series every Friday with a different trumpet player. My favorite interview with that was with Sergei Nikiryakov. He's my favorite trumpeter, and I got to interview him on my channel. I've been posting performance videos. I've launched 2 seminars, one with Seraph Brass in early July and one with my husband in late July, and that was just announced today. So I'm keeping busy. I organized a video of 26 trumpeters from around the world at the start of the quarantine, playing an arrangement of Queen's Love of My Life. And my next project is organizing female brass players from around the world through Seraph Brass, and trombonist Carol Yarvis is making an arrangement, and we're going to be raising money for the Global Fund for Women. So that's my next big virtual video project for the world. All right, I think we have another question. Any thoughts on the Yamaha Mark Gould Signature Series mouthpiece? I have not played that, so I don't know. Trumpet players love mouthpieces, and I certainly have a lot of different mouthpieces. I just play standard 5C right now on the B flat and C trumpets. I play a variety of different piccolo mouthpieces. I'm a little bit flexible on that because depending on the piece and the sound that I want, I have 2 different piccolos too, and different lead pipes, and I have a cornet shank and a trumpet shank, so there's a lot of options that I like to play around with on the piccolo. Let's see, okay, so we have a caller that just called in. What is your preference, performing as a soloist with full orchestra or chamber group? Is there a piece you would love to play that you haven't yet, and what is it? I like both. I like to, when I play with full orchestra, I still really feel like a chamber musician. I mean, you're standing out in the front. My wish is that I could kind of stand more in the orchestra sometimes because I love communicating with the other musicians. I think all music is chamber music, even if you're sitting in the back of the orchestra. So I really love, being able to see the concertmaster and watching them rather than just being the soloist outside of the symphony. Like, I like to feel like I'm playing with everybody as the soloist, but also as a chamber musician as well. Otherwise, I don't think it makes sense, if you're just all alone on stage. And, I think that it should be in the spirit of chamber music, so to say. And as far as a piece that I would love to play that I haven't played, my favorite concerto one of my favorites that I learned when I was 16 is the Tomasi Concerto. And I've performed it with piano, but it has yet to be programmed for me with full symphony. But I would love to play that piece with full orchestra. It's so beautiful, it has a ton of colors. And also it was one of the first major concertos that I learned outside of Haydn and Hummel that I just really, really fell in love with. So that's a piece that I would just love to play with full orchestra. Okay, so we have my friend Maxine. Hi, Maxine. We're going to be in Santa Fe in October of 2022 with Seraph Brass at the Cathedral of St. John in Albuquerque. So put that in your calendars. We'll be announcing that soon, and that's very exciting. It's a beautiful venue. Maxine is an old friend, and it's just a great concert series, and so you'll have to check that out and stay in touch. All right, and as far as other pieces, while we're waiting for more questions, I really love the idea of commissioning more works for the trumpet, and as well as also keeping the familiar pieces alive as well. There's another piece in the mix that's been put on hold a little bit during quarantine, but a Mexican composer, Gina Moran, is writing a concerto for me as well in the future at some point. And my goal with these concertos is to organize an orchestra to record them and have a CD of pieces that feature works by female composers. And I also want to, in the fall, I'm also learning right now, I'm learning the Zvulik American Concerto that was written for Doc Severinsen. And so I'd love to include that in the mix too. And there's also a beautiful concerto by Grace Williams that I love. But I also love the idea of commissioning another piece as well. So I'll be kind of exploring those possibilities now. Let's see. Do you experience any specific challenges, breathing or otherwise, when you're performing in Santa Fe at 7,200 feet? That's a very interesting question. I remember when I was younger, these types of situations would really bother me because I wasn't traveling as much. And so, you know, being in a place like Santa Fe, when my husband first got that position about 10, 12 years ago, it was quite a shock. During that time, I was still focused on orchestral repertoire, and I was preparing for an audition that I had won a trial for in New Zealand. But when I was making that tape, I remember being so out of breath for the post horn solo and thinking like, this is so hard, you know, because you're just not used to the elevation. And I find now, since I'm used to traveling in different places and being somewhere new, that I adjust much more quickly. You definitely feel it, for sure. I remember Seraph Brass played a concert near Guanajuato in Mexico, and I didn't realize that the elevation, I think it's similar to Santa Fe. I had no idea. We just flew in, and I remember rehearsing and feeling like, man, I'm out of breath today. Whatever. And I played the concert and it was fine. And then during the dinner after the concert, someone mentioned the elevation. And I was like, oh, that makes complete sense. But I'm almost glad that I did not know about it, because I noticed that I was out of breath a little bit, but I didn't think too much about it. So I wasn't like overly worried about the situation. So I think that's really important to remember, that elevation will affect your breathing, but not to think too much about it. And I also think it's important to stay hydrated before you switch climates, and just stay healthy, sleep a lot. But water is really important, especially when you're going somewhere that's a little bit drier like Santa Fe. Drinking tons of water leading up to that trip is very helpful. All right, let's see, we got a few more questions in here. Have you ever thought of touring South Africa and doing a few concerts? Yes, that would be amazing. So I love traveling. It's one of the things that makes me really passionate about music too. And I've really missed that during quarantine, but I have enjoyed the time home as well. But I am looking forward to exploring the world a little bit more. This past month, I was supposed to be in Guanajuato again with a string group with my husband. And then we were supposed to go to Nicaragua to premiere Gina's concerto, which that's on hold. And then I think right now I'm supposed to be in Scotland playing a concert there, which obviously is not happening. So I'm actually watching a TV show that's based in Scotland where we were supposed to go. So it's been kind of fun to watch the scenery, and I know we're gonna go at some point. So I'm not too worried about that. It'll just continue later once it's safe again. What are you doing for fun that doesn't involve the trumpet? That is funny that you wrote LOL after that, because you know, being married to a trumpet player, our lives do sort of revolve around the trumpet because we just love it so much. But we do try to take some time away. You know, one of the jokes before quarantine was that like I don't know how to cook, and I really do not enjoy cooking at all. But you know, we can't go out to eat, and so out of survival, I've had to learn how to cook some things, and so I've actually started doing it more. And my husband laughs at me because he's like, "You're cooking on your own?" Because usually you have to force me, otherwise I would eat cereal for every meal. But we have been cooking together, and it's been really fun, and making things that actually taste good. So that's been kind of a change that I think will be a good change for my life in the future, to not always just grab something on the road, but to actually learn how to make things and be a little bit more healthy. And we also have 2 cats, and so you'll see a lot of photos of our cats, especially Duke is my favorite cat. I love Sophie too, but she's newer. We don't know her as well. I'm sure we'll love her as much, but yeah, and we'd like to go running and you know, watch some shows together. But we do plan our lives a lot around the trumpet and trying to stay relevant during this time. And we love teaching, so we teach lessons right now on Zoom. And yeah, I just love staying busy